The manifestation industry tells you the formula is simple. Set the intention, connect to the feeling, put it in the quantum and watch it appear. For some people that works, but the reality is the same rules of creation do not apply to everyone. I'm Tracey Gillies. I've spent the last decade commanding and releasing demonic and multidimensional entity interference at the highest levels. I literally wrote the book on it. And in this episode, I'm debunking the manifestation advice that may be failing you and explaining why, when entity interference is at play, generic advice from love and light coaches will not cut it. So, I guess I need to start by saying, well, what is manifestation? Manifestation is technically soul alignment. And with manifestation, I'm just going to go back to some of the basics, right? So we have divinity templates. So we have our soul templates. And everything is created first in the spiritual before it can be created into physical. And there's kind of these list of orders, and the spiritual brings order to physicality. And first and foremost, we are a spiritual being having this human experience, right? And the way that we create one is via intention. So we have to be directing our consciousness favorably to what we wish to create. That's being intentional. And when we almost put this intention out there, so intentions actually do need to be spoken aloud, right? Again, there's reasons for this. It's like a safeguard. There's no way we want all our bloody, all our thoughts manifesting. That would be terrible, even though some people can, create through their mind. Definitely, it's a skill that you can up-level and develop. It goes hand in hand with, I guess, intuitive development. But for the purpose of, I guess, a general rule of thumb, you have to then speak it aloud. When we put a manifestation out, so this direct, consciousness creation, we then have to remove everything that opposes it. So it's almost like there's all this information that sits in energetic structures and templates, like coding and instructional information. Let's call it that. It's probably easier explaining that way. And you have to take away all the things that misalign, right? All the things that are not in alignment. So it's kind of the process of releasing before we can create. Now, there's already so much information that sits in our spiritual frameworks and that is interlinked with our identity. Again, it has a big weight on, our unconscious mind. So even like our preconditioning and our traumas and our, the way that we've almost been modeled and shaped from childhood. Again, the conscious mind is only 5%. The unconscious is 95%. So we've got to kind of look at some of these beliefs and start taking things away. So where it gets a little bit, I feel sad for people. I feel really sad for people because they will start looking at these people that have created a lot and they offer these huge manifestation kind of, truths and helping people create. And there's obviously systems and you could probably buy into it and almost be directed to create and manifest the life that you desire. The manifestations would have to be aligned to your soul's truth for one thing. But the thing is, what nobody's really talking about is a lot of the people that have these amazing gifts with manifestation, it's actually like a soul blueprint gift. It's like it's in their templates. They might have manifestation abilities for one thing. But the biggest thing that I see is a lot of these influencers will have something called an oversoul. What is an oversoul? An oversoul is a multi-dimensional being that helps the human, the person, co-create into physicality. And so a lot of these things that people are saying, oh, you just do this, they actually have this extra spiritual alignment or this powerful energy that helps them create. And let's say people were to follow this person, it's almost like they potentially would go under the umbrella and be creating underneath this person's abilities, power, multidimensional kind of signature. And so potentially there could be this up-leveling just by following the principles that this person is showcasing. But generally, manifestation is a little bit more complicated than that. Like, I just hear stupid things. I hear people saying, oh, you just put it out into the quantum. Put it out into the quantum. quantum and it will just manifest. Well, we're in the quantum. What are you talking about? The quantum is massive. You have to actually replay a creation back to yourself and look at all the things that oppose it. And again, manifestation is the same principles as healing. So again, there's a way to work with energy, work with your own kind of divinity templates and structure to start to create and manifest. But here I am to say that people can have entity interference that stops them. So this is why it's disheartening for people when there's one kind of rule that's being talked about. Oh, let's just manifest. And they try endlessly and they're doing all the things that literally people will say to create and manifest, but they cannot. Why is that? They have high-level entity interference. They don't technically even potentially own their own connection, for one thing. So therefore, they cannot create. They may have, you can have entities that sit on an etheric body level and then pull in more and more deregulation. They might be creating out of negative intent. That is terrible. Terrible when that happens. It's almost like everything that they say, because there is entity interference involved, gets twisted and manipulated into the negative creation of that. So no matter how hard they try, they will pull in the misalignment, or again, the manifestation won't take place in that way, because there's almost like this energetic imprint or coding based around entity interference that they will manifest the negative association to that. You can even have things beyond this. You can even have things that, let's say you've got your energetic templates, right? You've got your soul template, and most people are trying to heal, manifest, recode, do all these things within this template. That's how it works. That's what we're meant to do. But there is higher templates that exist above all of these things. And dark entities, powerful dark entities, can place instruction at this higher matrix that will supersede any other creation put in this other field of information. And until you can release those instructional codings, you will endlessly create whatever is held in that energetic template. So an example of this is, I often see like a bloodline curse. It may have gone through generations and generations. Could be to do with Freemasonry. Could be to do with demonic enslavement, a whole lot of different things. And it's like this coding exists at a higher level, and no matter what you do, you cannot find this instructional information to take it out of the energetic structures. Because manifestation is just putting instructional information into a template and removing all the things that oppose it. But what if you can't find what you need to release? And endless healing, like I see people that will go decades and decades and decades looking for answers on creation, on healing, on manifestation. And it's because there's things that are outside of their control. So let's kind of go back a step again. Remember how I said the person that is running the manifestation guidance could have an oversoul. And just by being under their guidance, you're almost under their umbrella of creation, and you kind of get the success, right? But what if you, the person, has really, really high multidimensional enslavement taking place? You're already owned by another multidimensional being. There is no way that you can align over here to another being, because you're already almost like separated from that, because there's a higher influence that is running even DNA, even like manifestation, even kind of spiritual templates. So it's not as simple as let's all just set these intentions. And again, with manifestation, they do have to be soul alignments. A lot of people these days are just looking at ego-based desires. Again, it's not what we're here to do. There's reasons, and it's about a journey. The journey of the soul is soul elevation, and it is realizing that we're more than our mind. It is taking away all the things that are not like untruths. Again, it's kind of that brain development journey that we almost take on all these programs. We will even mirror our parents' central nervous systems. There's a lot of inherited influence and inherited decline, and it's this journey of almost like a separation to these sources, to reconnect at this higher spiritual template. And everybody here has a different energetic signature. And we're here to reclaim our own rights, and we're here to find what is in alignment to our own highest truth. And when we do that, we will create abundance and we will manifest. So sometimes it makes me also sad that there's so much information in the marketplace and everybody is just trying to recreate maybe somebody else's success, and it doesn't really work that way. Somebody else's success could be a complete misalignment to what you're here to create. You have to hear your own truth. Again, social media is making it very hard. We're looking at all of these faces of success and then redefining ourselves based on it. If any of what I'm saying here resonates, and you think that maybe you might have some sort of entity interference that could be creating decline with manifestation, or you creating healing even, then please, my book, The Truth Behind Entity Interference, has so much wisdom and information that explains all of the things that I talked about, plus so many more things. But also, if you're looking to up-level your services by getting fully certified in entity healing, entity release, then please take a look, because conscious awareness is key to expansion. I have so many people that say, wow, it made sense a lot of their life, and they've almost like interlinked all of these pieces. But the best place to start is there will be a link below in the show notes, and that you can then get your copy and find out more about, even the oversoul energy that I've talked about, or how dark entity interference really kind of can create this huge deregulation to all levels, mind, body, soul, spiritual reconnection and templates. Like it really is vast. But honestly, entity interference is about so much more. It's about elevation. It's about stepping into sovereignty. It's about reclaiming rights. And, the more that we step into these higher levels of self without interference, the more that we get to create, but the fact that we're in alignment within ourselves is the way that we manifest, right? Because like attracts like. It's almost like we have this energetic signature. We have a soul vibration rate. And with that is what the universe reads, and that is what comes back to us. So again, there's this universal re-regulation, and manifestation does hold specific rules around it, but entity interference can manipulate rules and have somebody lost in, trying to reclaim, trying to create, trying to do all these things. And there can be all these other things in the background that are running that you probably haven't even thought about or realized. And so there is so much more to manifestation, to creation, to healing than people realize. And often when people are in a constant, never-ending kind of cycle or looping around healing, around manifestation, it is always the things that you can't see that are the most deregulating, and that is honestly entity interference. So if you've liked this episode, please subscribe or follow. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode.